In this video, we explain how to install and configure the report server or reporting server on Windows and Unix. The two terms are interchangeable. The purpose of the reporting server is to generate AAI data reports on various metrics and performance indicators. It comes with both pre-configured reports as well as the tools necessary to build your own. The reporting server can be installed on a dedicated machine, which is always recommended, or next to AAI. When we install, the server communicates with the AAI server and uses the same data source hosted in either Oracle or SQL Server to source its own data. Installing the report server means executing a simple batch file as root. The script takes us through a dialog which prompts us for various data points that we need to explain. Once installed, the reporting server is configured in the AAI web UI to connect to AAI in the database. The reporting server analyzes data and presents it in structured reports. It's entirely web-based and accessible using the AAI web UI version 1. The web server is Apache Tomcat, and the reporting engine is an off-the-shelf commercial release of Jaspersoft, which requires an embedded PostgreSQL database to host its own data, which it acquires from the AAI database. The web server is accessible over default port 8080, and you'll need to change this, say to 8081, if you decide to deploy the reporting server on the same host as AAI, and 8080 is already taken by JBoss. Once up and running, the reporting server extracts data from AAI to build reporting and models. In large-scale production environments, we recommend mirroring the AAI database and dedicating that duplicate to the reporting server. First, let's start with the basic requirements. Use the same version of Java as for AAI. As a reminder, we recommend the Oracle release over OpenJDK. You should download the package from the usual sources. Look for the file terma.bi installer, and then select the Windows or Unix version. You unzip and then run a script as administrator or root. You are prompted for several values. The installation is very simple, mostly because the reporting server is completely self-contained. The package includes all the necessary software to run by itself with very limited configuration. It has an embedded version of Jaspersoft for the reporting capabilities, a Tomcat web server, an embedded PostgreSQL database for Jaspersoft's own needs. Start the installation with AAI running. In our demo, we'll show the Unix installation only, since the two procedures are almost identical. This is the procedure. It's very simple and has been streamlined from prior versions of the server. You execute a script, terma.bi configure as admin or root. The script prompts you for several values. In order to access several additional capabilities, like the ability to convert reports to PDF, you'll need Google Chrome. One of the prompts is the location of the Chrome executable, say /opt/google/chrome. You can install without Chrome, but those capabilities won't be available to you. These are the prompts. The reporting server requires a Tomcat web server, and so you enter the Tomcat port, the default being 8080. If you're installing on the same host as AAI, make sure you don't use the same port as JBoss. You're prompted for the Tomcat shutdown port, which defaults to 8005. You're prompted for the AAI hostname, since the server has to communicate with AAI. You're prompted for the AAI communication protocol, either HTTP or HTTPS, if you've deployed TLS for AAI. You're prompted for the AAI JBoss port. You're prompted for the AAI database type, either SQL Server or Oracle, since the server sources AAI data to build its own in the local Postgres instance. The next prompts concern email address, server, and authentication, since reports can be sent by email. You're prompted for the Google Chrome directory so as to support several functions like PDF conversion. The installation takes several minutes, and you'll need to be patient while it executes until you're notified that it was successful. The default installation directory should be /opt/bi-server/server. As a last step, we configure the connection between AAI and the reporting server in the AAI web UI version 1. We've mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. You must be logged into the AAI website with the fully qualified domain name of the AAI server, and again use the fully qualified domain name of the reporting server in the configuration if the servers are on different hosts. We're logged in as root in the report server host. The package was downloaded locally. We unzip it. This creates a script called term.bi configure rpm.sh. We execute this script. We'll be prompted for several values. First, we are prompted for the port of the Tomcat web server for the report server, routinely referred to as BI. If you're installing the report server on the same host as AAI, make sure you select 8081 or something else. We're prompted for the Tomcat shutdown port. The default should be available. You're prompted for the AAI host name for the report server to communicate with. You have to specify if AAI is accessible over HTTP or HTTPS based on TLS deployments. You have to enter the JBoss port so as to communicate with AAI. You have to specify the database type. The report server sources the AAI data and replicates it in its own Postgres instance. The next prompts concern email configuration. You enter the email server, address, authentication, and so forth. You enter the location of Google Chrome. This is optional, but you won't be able to use certain features without it, such as export to PDF. The procedure tells you where the report server is being installed. The installation can take over 10 minutes. In the case of failure, check the report server's Tomcat Catalina log for errors. You're also shown the various instructions to start, stop, and restart. Systemctl, the instruction, and bi-server.service. Windows start and stop shortcuts are created on the desktop, and the server can be controlled with the two Jasper Windows services for Postgres and Tomcat. This is the file system on the BI server, which is the report server. You find the directory for the Tomcat web server, one for the Postgres database, the uninstaller, and more. The properties.ini file contains connection settings to AAI. The server's logs are found in the Tomcat directory. The server will trace server events, and the Jasper reports log traces Jasper events specifically. The two processes are Tomcat and PostgreSQL. In this second part, we configure the reporting server to interface with AAI in the database. We start in the WebUI version 1 and head to System Tools. We use the Reporting Configuration tab to configure the server. The configuration dialog starts. In this first screen, we configure the reporting server. We indicate the name of the host, the ports, and the JasperSoft admin user and passwords. Those are set by default to superuser and terma passwords. In the second screen, we enter the admin user and password of the AAI server. We've used this in the past. It's what we use to log into the web UIs, admin and password, both in lowercase. In this third screen, we configure the connection to the database. If you go back to the module installing AAI, you'll recall that we entered information for SQL Server on Windows and Oracle on Unix. Simply retrieve this information for the database. Let's look at SQL Server first. For SQL Server, you enter the database hostname, the name of the SQL Server database, and the username and password recreated in the security folder of the DB. For Oracle, the information is slightly different. We did not create a physical database per se. Instead, we used the DB service associated with the pluggable database XEPDB1. Note that if you were to use a mirrored database, which Broadcom recommends in large enterprise deployments so as to avoid interfacing with the DB and preserve performance, then you would enter the details of the mirror instead. When you see this screen, your reporting server is configured. You can revisit all configuration screens anytime you want, especially if changes have to be made to your configuration. For example, if you were to change the password of the AAI admin user, you have to remember to come back here and set the new passwords. You can also establish with certainty that the server is properly configured by making sure that you have access to the Insight reports. You may run into a configuration failure. Give it a few minutes for the configuration settings to deploy. You can also restart the report server with the systemctl command, and eventually Insight will activate.